The year was 1935. Europe trembled once again on the edge of war. Germany, under Adolf Hitler, was rearming at a terrifying pace. The Luftwaffe grew stronger by the month, boasting sleek new monoplanes like the Messerschmitt Bf-109, faster, deadlier, and built for domination. Meanwhile, across the Channel, Britain's Royal Air Force still relied on biplanes. The Hawker Fury and Gloucester Gauntlet were agile but outdated relics of a bygone era. Britain needed a new kind of fighter, one capable of facing the modern threat rising in the skies over Europe. Meet chief designer Sydney Camm of Hawker Aircraft. A man of vision, brilliance, and quiet determination. Camm had already created the nimble Hawker Fury, but he saw what was coming, and he knew Britain had to act fast. His solution was bold, a modern monoplane fighter. Using the same tried-and-tested construction techniques Hawker already knew well, a steel tube frame covered in fabric and metal panels. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't revolutionary, but it would work. And crucially, it could be built quickly, cheaply, and repaired easily. That design would become the Hawker Hurricane. In 1934, the prototype took shape at Hawker's Kingston factory. It was powered by Rolls-Royce's new groundbreaking Merlin engine, a 1,000 horsepower V12 that would soon become legendary. When the first prototype, serial number K5083, took to the skies on November 6, 1935, it marked a quiet revolution in British aviation. At 315 miles per hour, the Hurricane was a leap forward. It was faster, sturdier, and more heavily armed than any British fighter before it, carrying 8 Browning 303 machine guns in its wings. This for its time was cutting-edge firepower, capable of delivering a dense storm of lead that could shred aircraft in seconds. Yet, when the Hurricane entered production, it found itself overshadowed. For waiting just beyond the horizon was another design, sleek, elliptical, all-metal, a fighter destined to become a symbol, the Supermarine Spitfire. But while the Spitfire dazzled with beauty and speed, the Hurricane would become the workhorse, the dependable defender of Britain. When the Hurricane entered squadron service in late 1937, few realized just how crucial it would become. It was the first monoplane fighter to join the RAF in large numbers, the first to truly bridge the gap between the biplanes of old and modern air warfare. Its construction was simple but genius. The fuselage was built around a steel tube framework, covered in doped fabric at the rear and metal panels at the front. The wings were initially fabric-covered too, later upgraded to metal for extra durability. It could be built in small factories all across Britain, and repaired in muddy airfields with basic tools. A mechanic could patch a Hurricane in hours, something impossible with the Spitfire's complex, all-metal design. Inside the cockpit, pilots found it sturdy and forgiving, a plane that could take punishment and still bring its pilot back home. Its wide undercarriage made takeoffs and landings much safer than the Spitfire, especially from rough or improvised runways. As one RAF pilot put it, she was no beauty queen, but she was solid, you could fly her anywhere and trust her. By 1939, over 500 Hurricanes were in service. When war finally erupted in September, they were the backbone of fighter command. And it was just in time, because Britain was about to be tested as never before. When Hitler's army swept into Poland, the world plunged into chaos. The Hurricane's first combat came with the British Expeditionary Force in France during the early months of 1940. The RAF's Hurricane squadrons were thrown into desperate fighting against the Luftwaffe's superior numbers. In the skies above Belgium and northern France, Hurricanes went head-to-head with Messerschmitt Bf-109s and 110s. Though slightly slower than the Bf-109, the Hurricane could outturn it, especially in close dogfights. Its rugged airframe absorbed incredible damage, and its heavy armament tore into Luftwaffe bombers with deadly effect. In the short but intense campaign, Hurricanes destroyed hundreds of enemy aircraft, but at a terrible cost. When France fell in June 1940, many Hurricane squadrons were decimated. Those that survived retreated across the Channel to fight another day. That day came swiftly and would define the aircraft forever. The summer of 1940, Britain stood alone, France had fallen, Europe lay under Nazi occupation, and the Luftwaffe now prepared to crush the RAF and pave the way for invasion. The fate of an entire nation would soon be decided in the skies. When the Battle of Britain began, the RAF could muster just over 700 fighters, roughly 30 squadrons of Hurricanes and 19 of Spitfires. The Spitfire may have stolen the headlines, but the Hurricane bore the brunt of the fight. It was the Hurricane that met the German bombers head-on, while Spitfires tangled with their escorting fighters. During those desperate months, Hurricanes accounted for nearly 60% of all Luftwaffe aircraft shot down in the battle. They destroyed Heinkel's, Dorniers, and Junkers bombers in their hundreds. Their 8 Browning guns shredded through aluminum and fuel lines, sending flames cascading through the skies over southern England. But the battle came at a terrible cost. Many pilots never returned, and Hurricanes often came back riddled with bullet holes. Yet their rugged frames and simple design meant that many damaged aircraft could be repaired and returned to service within days. Prime Minister Winston Churchill's words would immortalize their sacrifice. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. Among the few, the Hurricane was king. A workhorse, a savior, a machine that turned the tide of war. As the war raged on, the Hurricane evolved. It wasn't the fastest fighter anymore. The Spitfire, and later the Mustang, would surpass it, but the Hurricane adapted brilliantly to new roles. The Hurricane Mark II, powered by a more powerful Merlin XX engine, could reach speeds of over 340 miles per hour and climb higher than before. It was armed not just with machine guns, but with 20mm Hispano cannons, rockets, and bombs, turning it into a deadly ground attack aircraft. In North Africa, the Furry Bomber became a legend. Painted in desert camouflage, these aircraft strafed German convoys, bombed airfields, and supported the 8th Army from El Alamein to Tunisia. In the harsh desert heat, the Hurricane's simple, rugged design made it easy to maintain where more complex aircraft failed. In the frozen skies of Russia, Hurricanes fought alongside Soviet pilots under the Lend-Lease program. Over 3,000 were shipped to the USSR, where they battled Messerschmitts, Stukas, and even Focke-Wulf 190s. And in the jungles of Burma, the Hurricane fought the Japanese. Everywhere the war went, the Hurricane followed, dependable, adaptable, and relentless. Thank you for watching. Each aircraft tells a story of innovation, courage, and sacrifice. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us again as we explore the machines that ruled the skies. This is Skies of War, where every plane has a legacy and every flight tells a story.